Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Depending on where you are, trust everybody's doing well. So as always, this is our product deep dive. The call that we have the third Saturday of each month. Normally we have one that we do previously that runs on the first Saturday of each month. One is actually where we get to meet our practitioners, kind of like sharing their journey and their learning. Today's call is one that is going to be run about looking at the product. We are looking at an application within that product, and we will get a hands-on demo for what we should have and how that process area actually works. We started for last month where we had our practitioner come in and then share with us on the agile development for delivering projects as well as product delivery. So that's for you to have a clear understanding of the agile method and then having that to be run within the ServiceNow space. Today, I have the pleasure of actually sharing with you about the project portfolio management application within that strategic portfolio management product suite. So we'll be, taking a whole look at that and then giving us a demo for how you can have it set up in your own personal instance or your PDI. You're going to be using that. And then if you follow through with what we do have, you're able to manage the projects there. You can manage programs, you can manage portfolio, whether it's for product or software delivery. You would be able to do that. There's a whole list because if you remember, most companies are using Agile, and then Scrum is the most popular of that. But also, people still or organizations still deploy using the traditional waterfall method or project management. So you should expect that too. So just as an FYI, I'll go ahead and start to share. As always, don't forget to use the future in the chat. If you have questions, we would take that. You can put them in the chat also so that we can get to them as well. So just go really quickly and then start to, just a minute. Oh no. All right, good deal. So this is the project portfolio management. The product deep dive is today. We're having this. It's going to be talking about the project portfolio management suite. Um, we're going to look at projects, portfolios, and then programs as well. So this is a little bit about me. My name is Namaka Nyao. Friends call me Mexi Prince. So yeah, I'm a human being. I'm African American. I'm actually Nigerian. So I'm an avid learner. I'm vegan. I love to travel, especially road trips. So I'm a certified project manager, certified agile practitioner. I'm certified Scrum Master. I have, a ton of ServiceNow certification and experience. For me, it's all about the engagement layer. So talking about IT service delivery or service management, talking about customer service management, and then the employee service. If you have a understanding of these areas, you should be well on your way. And then, my last engagement, I was a program manager leading the predictive intelligence deployment for the VA, the government. So I was through Accenture primarily on that project. But right now I started in January. I'm basically on my own. I'm a trainer. I've trained a lot of practitioners on their career journey, jumping into service now or into IT generally, whether you're coming from healthcare background, coming from, construction background, a host of other backgrounds too. The whole essence is how to use the technologies to use it to enable you actually transition. And then you see the value you get. It's all about value. You're bringing all your journey or you're co-creating with your customers. So taking a look at it, I want you to remember one thing for sure. The project portfolio management suite or PPM, it speaks about the capabilities that help business, right, meet their strategy with desired outcomes. So we're looking at how a company puts the strategy into action. Project portfolio management helps you to do that. So it's wanting to have a vision, right? It's wanting to have a thought. It's wanting to dream big. But without tangible things like projects or programs or portfolios, you can't really do nothing. So I want to build a house. I want to host a party. I want to make it a visit to maybe a career site, or I want to go to a monument, or these are plans, but you need to make them concrete by not just writing them down or thinking of them, but breaking down into actionable items. So you break it into a project, which it is. So you're looking at what are the things that you need to do to, you know, incrementally get that done. You break it down into the capabilities. We are looking at that within ServiceNow. We're looking at the applications and its capabilities that enables that business to match the strategy, right, into its outcomes or into a result. Or what are the actions that you need to take? So normally strategic portfolio management is encompassing all of these. So it's talking about IT business management. That's the former name. But project portfolio management is one of the capability or one of the suites within strategic portfolio management. So we are looking at project portfolio. You're looking at managing the projects, the project tax, the resources. You're looking at the revealing the tax complexity. Remember, we talk about hierarchies. You're looking at from the project, we have the project tax, we have individual action items. So then you now have to now assign those to the users. So the real users, we look at the dependencies. So we can look at the portfolio, we look at the programs, we look at the projects. For you to be able to do this, you need to actually install these application. Remember, there's going to be default applications in your system, which fortunate enough, ServiceNow provides you with a developer program, a sandbox or a PDI. With the PDI, you get default applications. But remember, all of these are based on subscriptions. So based off on these subscriptions, you are expected to enable them if it's part of your subscription suite. But that's this for organizations where they're actually subscribing or paying stuff. For you as a learner, part of that developer program is for you to go and access most of these applications so that you can see or test run them or see their behavior. And then that way you can go enable them or work with them with your customers. So you can go and have a look and feel for it. So take it for a test drive. Imagine going to a car lot or going to a house, and then you're going to see it. It's the same way. So you go in there, take the car for a spin first, maybe they get your ID, that way they can either follow you on or just give you and then tell you to take it for a spin for you to go and gauge how it looks before you go buy it. So exactly what it is. And so you can go and enable this application in your instance. All you need to do is look for the PPM standard application, or you can get the project portfolio management complete suite that has 25 applications in it. So BPM standards will load that too, just as an FYI. We'll go do that, once we get to the demo, and then do a couple of other action items as we go along. So the benefits of using that project portfolio management suite is you're able to create value. Everything you do in IT, right, is to provide value to customers. If you're not giving the customer any value, then you're not making any sense. What the customer wants with the IT systems or solutions is actually to align its business strategy with desired outcomes. So that value proposition that you offer. Another thing you need to remember is you are looking at scaling, right? Scaling is just talking about the size, right? We're looking about the scope. We're looking at on how you can seamlessly get from 0 to 100 in pretty much a short amount of time. The only way to do that is to get that in increments or in bite sizes. So that's why we use those iterations, those cycles for the work to get done. we're going to be able to look at the hybrid way of working. So you are not just going to be able to manage traditional waterfall projects, which is, following that cadence. You are going to be able to do a hybrid method where you're going to integrate agile within that traditional project management. So you could do that dynamically where you have the best of both worlds in between. So you're going to look at uncertainty. You'll remember we're going to look at a couple of things. You're going to look at risk. Those risks become issues, right? The issues become decisions because you have to have decisions for actually getting that tax done. Then you look at the actions there, and then you look at changes, because when you make all those decisions, right, or you take those actions, some might be corrective, and then you actually make changes to the system or to the platform, if you will. Then you look at a roadmap item or scenario planning, what ifs, because remember, just like you have risk, some of those risks you can walk around them, some of those risks you just need to mitigate them, or kind of like walk around seeing them to fruition. So it's not in all cases. You're looking at using this to improve your team's productivity. You're looking at making sure you have a healthy dose of action items that would happen. Portfolio management is the topmost of that hierarchy. So it's within ServiceNow, the application enables you to create and manage portfolios. Portfolios just means, the totality of all your offerings that you have. So you're looking at your portfolio to mean maybe you have HR portfolio, maybe you have IT portfolio, maybe you have uh, a finance portfolio, maybe you have employee service portfolio, maybe you have grooming portfolio. It could be a lot of that, and vast within the different application capability. Um, for you to remember, portfolios are collections of related programs, projects, and then demands. For certain, you need to have the IT portfolio manager role. That's the requirement for you to be able to view the portfolio management application. The next on that line is the programs. Programs are just a bucket. So look at programs as a logical grouping of your related projects and demands. You're just trying to make sense of it where you are able to report on them. But programs can be there on their own. So for example, you could have projects in there, or it could just be programs directly. And then you can also have related demands as well. You can have the program manager role for you to do that, the IT program management, if you will. The project is the core. So is at the heart of portfolio or program management. You're looking at projects, and we know what a project is. A project is any planned activity that you do collaboratively within Scrum organizations or within development organizations. So the whole essence is to achieve this as a team in cohesion, right? We're looking at a defined timeline. We have defined objectives. We have our resource constraints. We have a we have a we have a constraint for which we will be able to deliver this value within its timeline. So you need to have the project manager role for you to be able to deliver that. Remember, one thing is you're going to have the cost, you're going to be have resource, you're going to have schedule. Cost is talking of budget. That's all it is, especially for projects. Resource, you're talking about a limitation to resources. So we're looking at resource to mean maybe materials. We have human resources as well. So remember, you can't have everything you want, but you need to be able to make adjustments when you need to. Then the schedule is talking about the timeline. So a project has a target start and end date, right? You can make adjustments where you need to based on any contingency or those risks, right? How you're trying to mitigate them. That timeline will enable you to talk of planning for your budget if you have budget run out or rundowns, or for your resources too. If you have those resource constraints, if case may be, you would need to make sure if you need to escalate, especially where you want to have more resources to your project. These are things that you will need to make sure within that tri-party constraint, you are actually focused on making sure you have enough buffer. Risk, issues, decisions, and actions before we talk of the changes. The risk of, a project, meeting its budget or its timeline or what have you not, or even for failures, other types of failures. Some of those you detail them, but when there are issues, it means they've happened. So that's the difference between a risk and an issue. So it's a risk is something that you it's yet to happen, right? But you're able to document it so that you can plan against that. Some risks you want them to happen, so you want those are good risks you want to include. Some others, those ones are unhealthy, but you can plan around them. But when they become issues are when for a certain they've actually occurred. So now this is a big issue, right? So now it's something that you need to get it resolved. You need to get a solution to it. Before you were planning for a solution, now you need to implement those plans that you have for your issues to actually get resolved. Decisions you make to try to resolve that, those are those decisions. Those are your contingency plans. You need to make sure those plans that you have the action items that are there, and then you have resources. So you have maybe the uh, uh, stakeholder who is responsible for it, or who is accountable to getting that result. You should have that using the your RACI matrix. Then the changes, sometimes those actions demand a change, either a change to behavior or a change to a system. You will need to go implement that. It's very important for you to get that fixed. So one thing is for certain, now create is very important. You want to get started with now create for you to understand ServiceNow implementation methodology. ServiceNow implementation methodology is talking about you envision for value. It just means what is your plan, right? What is your vision? What is your goal? What are you trying to achieve, right? Those visions and missions determine, right? Determine you move to the creation of value. Creating value means you're going ahead to action your plans. So for example, you have your programs, you have your projects, you have portfolios, then you have the different project tasks, you have the different project stakeholders who are responsible for those tasks, so that they actually get the work done. So in the create phase, the work gets done there, right? In the create phase, the work gets done there. Then you're validating. Validating value is your measure. When you're validating, you're measuring. You have your KPIs. You have those your performance metrics or indicators that you're actually using to confirm that you have achieved your vision, that you have met your value, you have met those prescribed outcomes. Prescriptive outcomes. That's really key. Then once you get those measurements ascertained, then you're able to champion those values. Because here's the thing, you always want to start small, and the only way to do that is to have a pilot or a test run. So that's where you try to make sure you're able to do it with a single entity first, then you scale. That's when you champion, you scale it. So let's say you were doing this for one particular Scrum team. You are now able to evangelize or socialize this across board through all your development teams. So that's a beauty for championing that change. So now you're able to push it. So, if we had about 100 Scrum teams um, we're talking about the dynamic teams of 11, it means that you're looking at 110. So you're going to affect their ways of working. So you're going to be able to have that, and then this will be something where it will be ingrained within your organization, and you get value for it. ServiceNow has provided the now create method for you to be able to deliver projects seamlessly. We'll take a look and we'll see how to utilize that as we move along. ServiceNow platform implementation on demand. So in here, you're able to take a look and see, how the ServiceNow platform works. Remember, the difference between the ServiceNow solution that you have as part of your PDI and the one in your workplace is that your workplace pays for it. Yours is free, but the difference is none, right? The only way you can talk about defining it is the amount of applications that you have access to. You have access to a lot. Your company will have access to the your company's access to application will be limited just to the applications they've subscribed to or their purchase. So just bear that in mind. So, but other than that, it's the similarities are the same, right? There's really no real stark difference. So there's a course on the Now platform. Getting started with Now Create would get you a firm understanding of how ServiceNow would help you to deliver value on all your projects. And the platform implementation on demand course will also do that. We're looking at that, but this is some of the resources that I'm pushing out there that are going to be helpful for you to deliver. There is also a career journey. There's a career journey there for technical project management within ServiceNow. It gives you a list of applications and the different components or pretty much modules within it that you need to complete to be able to get you started on your career journey as a technical project manager. Remember, the whole essence of your being a project practitioner or portfolio or program practitioner is that you're able to have a mix of both your soft skills or power skills and your technical acumen. So technical know-how, whether you're using your Jira, or whether you're using the ServiceNow tool, or whether you're using any other database. So things like SQL, things like Jira, uh, um, things like JavaScript, or things like Java, and other solutions there, or other API methods that we have there. So on-demand courses, remember, it's part of the strategic portfolio management suite. So strategic portfolio management implementation on-demand course is there. It's available. There is also the simulator for Washington that you can look for under the Now Learning. So if you go to Now Learning, most of these on-demand courses are there. Beginning with that Now Create, then the platform implementation. There's the strategic portfolio management. There is the strategic portfolio fundamental. If you want to understand the whole process, it's very helpful to begin there before you talk of implementation. And the simulator is actually testing your knowledge, especially if you're finished the fundamental or the implementation course. Each one comes with a simulation to test that you have actually followed through, just as an FYI. So we are going to do a demo really quickly. The demo is going to have us take a look here. We're going to look at installing the PPM application. We're going to also create a project. We can create that manually. We can also, import the project from the ServiceNow Now Create. You would see the project. You're able to assign a project there and then a project schedule within the project. You're also able to, assign a start and end date for your project. You can include project stakeholders, and then we can also include a hybrid phase for agile projects. So for example, we could go ahead and, attach stories, user stories to it, and then that way all can come in alignment. So do we have questions? Do we have concerns? Do we have questions? Do we have concerns? Okay, so first things first, this is the PDI, or the personal development instance. Just go and then I'll do this really quickly. Check on the chat. Okay, there's no question yet. So normally I go, this is a fresh instance, so I can request any of the new instance. So you're able to request all the way up to Utah. The Xanadu is the latest one. Washington was the one prior. Vancouver is also there. So I always like to be among the last two. So now that we have Xanadu early release, normally I would choose these or these two here that we have, these two. So I'll go there, request one. So it takes a couple of minutes. The system should spin up that environment for me. So the next thing, if you remember, you can look at the product document here. Within that product document, you can look for the, like right now we're looking at Washington. So we're looking at Washington. We would always have to change to that Washington one. Then now we're looking at that project portfolio. Project portfolio is part of strategic portfolio. So that's SPM. So if you take a look, deep dive on the strategic portfolio, you would see all of the capabilities that are included there. Project portfolio management, the hierarchy. So it does show you, you can click on it, it will open it up. And then it starts to show you, all of the capabilities that you can have. The last time we did talk about, so there's enough to enable you go around on it. As always, so while that is going, you can also remember that you can take a look at the bottom, customer success. You can also go to servicenow.com and then you would see under those products, if you will, you're able to see under the products, you would see strategic portfolio. And then it does show you, the pricing and the packages that you can have. You have the standard one, and then you have professional. So small organizations, this is what they will get. But if you do have, you're going to get the professional one. If you have you want to go, you want to get, you can see test management there. You can see scaled agile, which is just large scale Scrum. So large agile development. There's also the predictive intelligence there, right? And the chatbot, that virtual agent. So a couple of other application capabilities that are included in it. So, but all of these are applications, they cost money. These features cost money. The difference between this and the one that you will get in your workplace is that you are getting it for free. Your company is having to pay for them. All right. You are getting these for free. Your company is paying for them. Just as an FYI. There's really no difference between that and what is on offer or what is on stake. So by default, I would have, a baseline implementation there for me. All I need to do is to come in here and pin this, right? So the beauty here is I am the admin of my platform. If for some reason, yours doesn't show that, you can always come in here and then change it. What do I mean? You can always come here and change your role there. So if you're working at any time and you notice that, it just means that you have the App Engine role. You just need to change that role. So the first thing I'll do is to actually install the plugins. There's a plugin. If we take here, we type the project one, we would see it's not there. If we even also type Agile, we would not get those there at all. We're going to look for that. If you remember, you can do all. So under all, you are able to see all applications. So if you take a look there, it's under system application, all applications. You would see that it's all listed. So we can go all the way to the system applications. You see all available application, all. You can also type plugins. It would do the same thing. You get to the application manager. So here now we're going to deploy the project portfolio management, and then we'll deploy the agile development as well. So PPM standard, I'll look for that really quickly, search for that on the list. It's going to show me the application within its family, so that way I can look at them. It will show me the list. So all I'm needing to do is take a look there. So I'll take a look, PPM standard. I'll click on it. It show me that, and then you should see that there. You can search for product based on this ID, or you can type that out there, PPM standard, whichever way. All you need to do is this, click on install it here. It tells you also that it's going to come with other dependencies because it's going to go ahead and install those as well. Click on install, and then it shows you those. Your company would have to pay, but yours is free. The system can tell that yours is free. All I need to do is here, click on enable my demo data and install it. So these are also dependents that are inactive that I can also confirm that it should activate those. If it doesn't, I need to activate those on my own since I'm going to be including an agile phase within that product demo. It takes a bit like this. It goes through them, it loads them, and includes sample data, dummy data, so that way, I have what I need to be able to deliver. I have what I need. So we can also take a look. This is the agile one. Just in case I cannot do two at the same time, one has to go first before the other. This one might take a little big, but it should run really fast or relatively fast. Just as an FYI. This is the Customer Success Center. I can always go here to all sites and go to the Now Create. So Now Create is for the leading practice. I could also come here to Getting Started and then go to Implementation Leading Practice. It should take me to Now Create. Now Create will enable me to pull out projects or pull out stories or artifacts, whether I'm trying to get starter stories, whether I'm trying to get templates, whether I'm trying to get PowerPoint decks for maybe kickoff meetings, a lot of assets that I can use to work on or deliver on my project, even the implementation sequence, everything I need to deliver on any project. Project organization, there's a whole lot of blueprints that I can use. A whole lot. So this does take a bit to run through. Once it's done, it should tell us. So you can see it's running them in its own sequence. But once it's done with them, with those progress, it will let us know because it will show completion. Then we can run the second one, just as an FYI. So we'll just let that keep running in the background. Yeah, you can see it's making progress. So it should be able to conclude pretty much soon. So just as an FYI, thing here now, I'm able to go and download the projects. So here I'll just click on my sign in. It should automatically recognize me. But if not, I would take a look. I can see the code that was sent to me. All right. So normally it's a single sign-on. So once you're signed on any of the platform, all you just need to do is to click on the avatar or that bubble. It should automatically sign you in. But in some cases, because of the security, it's going to request for multi-factor authentication. So you could either use your email or an authenticator app or a text message. Any of these methods should be able to do that second level of verification. You put in the code that you have, and then it should take you in. Here, if you're new to that Now Create, we talked about, you can come in here and then you can step by step to deliver on your project, follow the guidance. You can learn about that method. You can, get I believe it, you know, like a like a completion badge. That would be helpful. If you want to learn more about that method, that's all you do. You get your badge. You walk through it. You can also use, say, take a look at the ebook, right? The whole essence is for you to understand, how to deliver as a project practitioner, and then the different roles. Remember using the RACI matrix to deliver on a project. Another thing you need to also do is to get to the success pack. A success pack is a complete project, right? Some of them are portfolios, some of them are programs, but it's a complete project. So it's working from the initiation phase all the way to the project closeout. The different phases in there, and then the different responsibilities for the different project stakeholders. So you're able to do that and do that really quickly. So what I'm going to do is to look at the project. So for example, I'm going to look at, the I can look at Gen AI projects. So, or we could look at, strategic portfolio projects. We could look at, but I just wanted us to look at, the Gen AI or AI projects that are there. Um, now intelligence or AI experience projects. We could look at those. Um, that way we can, get that really really quickly. Now intelligence. Okay. We can look at within those. We can look at generative AI controller one, um, now assist. So it's going to show us the app, the full um, the full project that is on there, and then all you expected to do is you can filter for your role. For example, you are the project manager here. You can come here. You're the project manager here. So it's not all the tasks that you're responsible for, but yes, you're responsible for about 117. You're accountable for others. Remember, some others you're just consulted or informed in it. So it's just your input or guidance or feedback. So, but once you run a filter, it's kind of like narrows it down to like in the getting started, where you should be responsible for. You should be responsible for how to use, to get information, get that, pretty much preset. You're assessing, doing that baselining or what your current state assessment. You're going to go do that. Then understand what is their testing need, and then understand the resource constraint or resources that you need, because without resources you can't do it. Remember, you're managing or delegating, your teams. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. So um, each one you're able to click on it, you would see, what it's expected. You can load it, and then that way it can show you your inputs, the outputs also, so that way, you can understand what the expectation is. So at the end of this is what you should have. Checklist of the items. Sample checklists are here, which we would also take a look. You should have a project chart as well, just as an FYI. So once you're done with any task, you can always go to the next task, or you can go back to the whole program. What I try to do is this: when I get into it, I love to come here and export it really quickly. So I would export it. It gives me three ways to do it: either through the Microsoft project, through that ServiceNow's project portfolio or SPM. You can see the ways to go about to do it. You can see instructions, on how, if you're missing any one of them, um, you can go to do it. So I can go export it really quickly. It takes a couple of minutes. It should be complete. So it's done there. Um, so that way I know. Uh, I believe this should be complete. Okay, it's still running. Um, Sometimes when you're deploying application, remember, some of these applications or plugins, you just need to have the right role. So if you have the admin role, you should be able to deploy that. sometimes you would need to actually submit a ticket. So you will request ServiceNow high support. So you request ServiceNow to actually go there and provision it into your environment or your instance. So you can go in there, submit that ticket, provide that location. ServiceNow deploys it as needed. Another way is actually to go to the ServiceNow store. So long as you made that purchase, you can now go to maybe the vendor or whoever is providing that capability, and then talking about how you want to have that subscription included into your license into your license bouquet, and then based off of that, they go ahead and deploy. They go ahead and deploy it into your target environment. So just as an FYI. Um, all of these are several ways you can do it. Many of these applications, once you have them turned on, uh, if you choose that you are wanting to stop to use them, the way to do it would be to make them inactive, but really they would all be there in the background. It's just that they might not show up as your application navigator, but they kind of like be there, right? Because remember, some of them are part of your subscription, or that are out there that you're just having to enable or turn on, because they are already there based on how ServiceNow already is pre-configured out of the box. So the subscription just enables you have access to the select models or select applications that you purchased as part of that your subscription. So while we wait for this, do we have questions? Do we have concerns?
No, for me, I don't think I have any question. I think this is awesome. Um, you know, it's well presented, and I've always wanted to, learn something like has to do with PPM and all of that. So I think you're able to streamline them, make them easy for me to understand.
Awesome stuff. Good deal, Timmy. So I'll go ahead and also, I believe, while we're waiting on that, I'll get the different assets. So I'll go back to the home. Okay, and then I'll go to search for the assets directly. So here, now I would also use the Gen AI one that we just did. So I'll look for stories that have to do with that. So AI experience. And then I'm going to look for, this is tax intelligence though. And then I'll go to the asset type. So the asset type, I'm going to go take a look and look for starter stories. So I should have that. So for predictive intelligence, for Gen AI, and then for Doc Intel. So I'll deploy this one, directly. So I'll pull it up. This is the stories. The first page is always, pretty much a template, so a legend that explains how you can go ahead and bring that in. You can download it really quickly based on this is Vancouver. It will tell you the different releases that you have, where you can go ahead. You can download them. You can also download them in a bunch, just as an FYI. In some cases, if you have other releases or other versions you want to work with, you could do that. Here it tells you how many times that this has been downloaded, and then it tells you when it was last upgraded to, things like that. So I'll go back also, and then I'll pull the document intelligence one. Just pull that too as well. So I think this is for Washington DC one. So this is 162 as well. So I could also use Vancouver or Utah release version. So if that's that's there, all I need to do is click on it to be able to download those previous versions. So I'll just do that here really quickly. Okay, good deal. So I believe this should be okay. It's almost there. It shouldn't take longer now. We should have it there completely. Should have it there completely. So in your workplace, uh, one thing is for certain, it all depends on your role. Just like uh, you have your own personal development environment, with your workplace email, depending whether you're working for a partner or you're working for a customer, create an account with it. So go into ServiceNow, go to the now, the developer developer program, sign up there, or sign up and now create so that it enables you to have that access. Remember, it's a single sign-on. You'll be able to go in there and then use that. Remember, some of these are exactly plug and play. So for example, your company, if they are trying to deploy these solutions, you can go there, take it for a spin. So you can go without necessarily going to any of their environments with your, that's your company email and your PDI, go take it for a spin. Enable that plugin just like we're doing here. See what exactly they are wanting to do, whether it's customer service projects or project portfolio, HR projects, whatever it is. Go there, deploy it. Make sure you enable the dummy data, that demo data thing, right? Even if you miss it, you can always go ahead and repair, and then it will do that. Then you should be able to see, sample data, expected behavior. Then you can remember one thing for certain: try it, and the same outcomes will be the same in there. The only difference is now the data. Your company data is when you're ready to go deploy, right? But the difference would be that. But other than that, everything you do already in your PDI, you already know, or you're expecting what should happen, right? The only difference now is when you go there in your company environment, definitely you're not going to enable demo data, right? Except you're doing it in a sandbox. But if not, you're not enabling demo data at all, because your company data should work, right? Because now you're wanting it to be in your company's environment. So that way, a lot of times, that's what gets to be used to test it when you're in on a live environment or in your company's instance. So this is almost completed. Most of it is done. It's just doing last minute fixes, I believe. So some of these plugins, some of them could take as quick as just you clicking. But some of them could also take quite a bit. So some of them I've seen one where this was done and it took like uh, almost about 6 hours, but that depends on the environment. It even took longer in some cases. What that just determines is, depending on your company's environment, how custom it is or not, depends on what if you're working within a regulated environment, because there's a lot of nuance to each environment. So if it's not government or regulated or or public sector, then for sure depends on your subscriptions, how many activations that you have, what is your what does your baseline traffic look like, other things, because sometimes it's as quick as just clicking the button and boom, it runs really fast in the background and deploys it. So if we remember taking a look at the application, the suite of it, that PPM standard, it told you the dependencies that it's having to deploy. So yeah, it's going to really run through to make sure that the environment has everything that it needs for you to actually explore that application. So we'll just think we have the two applications that we need. We can go back to the search, and then we can take a look at, I believe we could do a search also up in here. We can search for others. We can always clear the filters. So for example, we can click on that, taking away as we need to. We can also search for other asset types. For example, if we wanted, say, blueprints, or if you wanted scoping documents, if you wanted implementation guides, for example, you could see some of them. So like this one we have, for creator guides, we can see how to implement it, and then it will show it to us. Some of them, all we just need to do is download it, and we'll work with it. We'll download it, whether you use it for HR, for ITSM, for whatever. You just deploy the thing. You deploy the thing. It will walk you through what you need. You're just downloading. That's all you're doing. You're downloading and then using it to walk through. That's all you do. All right? This is all you do. Each one. That's all you do. So there's quite a bit of them. So a couple of minutes, it should be completed. Um, and then the other one should run really fast. Yeah, it's just we're waiting for that little piece to complete. It's 3%. Um, it's just taking its jolly good time to completion. So the way we said, the customer success, the now create, you can access this via different options. You can come in here. You can go to the bottom to the customer success, or you can also just go into your documentation, click on the additional actions or additional options. You can go to if you don't find it here, you can always go to the learning, or you can go to any of them. So let's say I go there, for example, I can go to that one, or we can go to that one, the learning one, whichever way should take you in there. All right. If you go to learning, this is the now learning one where you have those courses. If you go all the way to the bottom, you would see now create. So different ways. So you can come to from there. You can always while you're there, go under resources. Under resources, you see customer success. All right. So different ways takes you to now create different ways. Just know how to navigate different ways to go to that resource, leading practices, right? Different ways to get there, different ways. But this is your go-to for whatever you need to deliver on any project you have, any project. So even if you start with Google, open a Google page, start or Bing, whatever you do, it pulls you back into now the ServiceNow. You can go to ServiceNow document, or you can go to Now Learning, you can go to ServiceNow community, different resources that would help you to deliver on any project, different ones, different ones. So just as an effort, different ways get the same outcome. All right, installed successfully. So click on that, close it. It takes a minute. It should spin, complete its cycle, recognize that. It should show that it's completed that already. You can see, you can request the plugin. You can also go to ServiceNow Store like we talked about before. So this is installed. If for some reason you missed out on any portion of it, you can always come to repair, load demo data, repair. If you want just the data, that's all you do. This, in case you miss that at any given time, right? In case you miss that. So now that we have that completed, I can always install this one. You can see it's dependent on this one, but already that's already completed already. This is completed. You can see it. All right. So now I'll just go, just make sure. That's all. It should go while that's there. So now I just reload this one. Now it's complete, it's there, right? All I need to do, if I come here and type project right here, you can see the project workspace. All right. So if I do portfolio, you will see the whole list. It will be all listed in there. So it takes a couple of minutes. It takes a couple of minutes normally for all of that to be completed, for it to recognize it. Takes a while. You might just need to refresh it a couple of times for you to see the whole thing in there in your application file, because um, just as an FYI, just in case if you're done, if you notice that it hasn't loaded all the applications there, it just means that yes, it's circle. It's yet to run through completely. In some cases too, if you need to, you could also, log out, log back in, just to make sure. Remember, it's a transaction. So it should recognize that you've installed that, all the activities or all the updates that you wanted to apply should all be there, just as you need it, so that partly what you need to have should all be listed there in the in its entirety for your projects. All right, all that you need. If you don't load the project portfolio, another one you can do is to do the project management. So you could do the project management all, and then you should be able to do that too as well, just as an FYI. So click on new, you put your project in. So PPM demo. So I say starts. We can put there starts on Monday, I believe. Monday, okay. If you want to, we can select our project template. Remember, templates are just guidance. So if there's already a template already listed, you can use that. So you can there could be implementation template, user implementation template, and it should pretty much preset it. So based on what you already have, should show you the the projects in its entirety, the project details. So you're able to look at planning that your project is execution. You want to have your your project manager who's going to be responsible for it. You're looking at which group or who's going to be assigned to the project. You could also do that too. There's quite a number of things that you can see, the different project tags, you see them. They're all listed there all the way to the end. You can go ahead and start to look at whether you're looking at your requirements, looking at your project subtasks, you're looking at budget, looking at is it part of a portfolio, for example. That portfolio will be here. So let's say business transformation or whatever. Is it part of any program? If that program is there, you list it. If not, it could also be on its own. You could have your investment cost. Is it a run or is it a change? You're looking at, is it cost reduction? Is it your end user experiences? Your execution type is waterfall. You could have agile or hybrid. So just remembering that. You could have your business case and all your supporting, what strategy is it a part of, is the employee engagement, whatever, or is which one is it? PPM them. So risk of non-performing, you put all of that. Are there enablers? Are there barriers in scope? All of that. So you can start with a baseline for your budgets. The requirements are there. There are quite a bit of things that you can do all in there while looking at your project. So just so that you can have your assignment groups and all of that created for you. As you move around, so you're looking at your project, you want to take a look at the project workbench. If you want to create your baseline. If you like what it is, maybe you can set this as a template for yourself, so you can create your baseline. So that way you can put your description, you put that there, PPM demo baseline. All right. Create schedule baseline, financial baseline based on with whatever. If you have those, all of that will be there. Those will be there. At the bottom, there's quite a couple of things that can be listed. You're looking at your stakeholders there. If it's existing stakeholders, you add them from your existing list. It will list them there. You pull them. Maybe you're looking at digital business stakeholders. Maybe, for example, or you could do that if we wanted project or product portfolio, whatever. You could do those there. All right. So there's quite a bit of things that helpful, that would enable you to be able to run your projects, whether you're looking for requirements gathering. There's so much stuff you can do while you're there. If you're having to manually do that, just bear that in mind. For example, it's there. you know Most of this information would have already been you know pretty much cut out. Remember, requirements gathering, you're able to use, whether it's Excel, whether it's Word, PowerPoints, different ways to use those to get that requirements going before you come into the tool, to come in to put it, whether it's on stories or whether it's on the projects or in the requirements period. So um, just as an FYI, you are able to adjust your schedule basically based on the details you have. As much information that you have, you're able to, you could do a hybrid. Hybrid phase will be there. Once you include that, that's all it will be. Then it will, on the rated links, you'll be able to go ahead and make that adjustment, because it will leverage on that too as well. So different ways that you can, um, different ways that you can use to see it. Different ways. Those are those risks. So if you had risk of, you list those risks there. Uh, If those risks are turned to issues, the issues that are there, decisions, the actions, right? Then the changes, these are their changes. So it's all there, to enable you, if you have your resource plans, can manage those, manage those while you're there. It allows you to do that. Um, there's quite a bit of things that you can do here, for sure. For sure, you know, quite a bit of things you can do. You're talking about, managing your resources, looking at, financial, whether it's your project, and it's a host of stuff. It's a host of stuff. So I think this is done too as well. So now that that is done, I can always reload that one. Um, uh, pro, now that this is done, it just takes a little bit. They should be there. Okay. So all right. So you can go, creating those, talking about those your resources. All right. So it's a host of stuff. You can always click on it to go back home. You see your project workspace. Tells you where your project is. Tells you percentage completion. Tells you any milestones that you have. All right. So it's quite a bit of things that you could have in there. Like if we are good to, okay, yeah. So it's still I believe it's still, yeah, it's still it's completed. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good deal. So it could take a little bit, like we talked about, because normally there's a job that runs, hourly, just to be sure. But normally they should, uh a job. Uh, Yeah. I could also even look at. Normally it does take a little bit, but they are all there, um and they are completed. So it just does take a little bit upon completion for it to actually show. So sometimes, try to log out, log back in there, um, just to be, so I go to manage my instance password stuff. I click on that, I just get that in there, and then I just do that. Okay, I can do that too, just to be, you know, just do that. Yeah, that's it. And then projects. So sometimes it could do that. So it's project administration. So you might just, force it, you log back out, log back in, because it's a database transaction, you need to recognize it. So just as an FYI, we already had our project. We had the project workspace. So we had that, sample project that we had. We also had the templates. We had the project workbench, which we could take a look at. But here, this is the project, right? We can see getting started always takes you to the documentation. So for you to go preview at any given time, right? You can also take a look in there. We have that portfolio. So if you're looking at the portfolio, the top of the hierarchy, you can see it, the portfolio one. You can see the whole portfolio for the project management office dashboard. So it will be listed. If you want to create a portfolio at the top one, just click on create new. You can click on all, because anytime you look at the dashboard, it's just your analytics running. So we can see application modernization, data business, who's the portfolio manager. You can see them, right? CIO there, portfolio manager, whatever, these are just examples, so, each one of them underneath it, you would see the hierarchy, right? You can look at, the demands that they might be part of. You can look at projects that could be included in it, any programs. You can see those risks. You see the issues, decisions, one that we talked. So those are the programs. The same way, you can look at that workbench if you want to. It will list them there also. So sales enablement, HR, or whatever. But these are the project. Remember, we did a project with that our project workspace that we looked at with our PMO one. This is it here, right? We manually created that from that. So it does tell you, right? The status are on there. Percentage completion. We can look at the details at any time. If you remember, when we were looking at it before, we could look at it. You can see who the project manager by default is me, but you can always change it. If you don't want to, you can change it to whoever, just in case you can provide other assignments also that you have. In there you can look at it. If you wanted that agile phase, you can create an agile phase there. You can look at tracking it if it's agile also. We already had our stakeholders included. You can see them, the different ones, right? But now we can go to the projects themselves, right? We can go to projects all. We can actually import a project directly rather than manually creating it, for example, right? So we can do that. Click on import XML. Remember, we just had that we exported before. So we can go to your local machine or local device. So I'll look at my downloads. Under my downloads, I remember we did the now assist for XML here. This XML file. I just click on it. It takes a couple of minutes. It will upload that file there for me. So I can always go here to include created date, right? The created date there. That way, that one comes in there. I can move that to the end or at the first place at the bottom. So I can flip this order. So it shows me the most recent. So we should have that one that we did create that now. All right. So a lot of times you can use that to play around with it, do a couple of things as you need to. So here we can assign the project manager. There's a couple of listed. So let's say this is a product owner, for example. I could use that, or I can be specific for program manager. I could do that one. So here we could also add it to a portfolio just like we did before. So say product development, maybe let's add it to a program also. Judges program, maybe we could say it's a change. We could say it's employee experience. We say it's hybrid, yeah. So priority, we can say moderate. We can put our dates, for example. The schedule is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can change that. 8 to 5 excluding holidays. That's that. What is your start date? So we could say that we could say maybe that Monday. What is the end date? Projects normally we can just put end of the year, just so that we do, this is today's date. So once we put that, go to today, right? And we select that, then no, okay, I'll do that end of the year. End of the year. Just do that. End of the year. Yeah. So that it doesn't, because it doesn't come in at the end. So approve start. That's for sure. There's a business logic that to to even stop that. So now I can go ahead, save it. And then that way I have it. If I had the project in an Excel, I can import it too. What do I mean? I could import this in an Excel sheet. So I could go to that project. I can go to all projects. Let's say, for example, I had this project, right? Let's say I had this project. I could do that. I can just make some adjustments to it and then import that in an Excel sheet using this simple import model. So that's import, because I believe that's the, okay, assign the project manager schedule. Okay, plan start and end date, and then the HR phase, right? So HR phase, that's the last one. So here, there are some sample stories, but I want to bring ours in there. So import, so under imports, you would see the import set. So system import load data. So I'm going to bring load data really quickly, so that way I can bring it in. So here, we're going to go create a story. So a lot of times, if you already done one before you go to existing, but we've not done any here before. The import set table is a staging table for where your data will be pretty much temporarily there before you kind of like clean that data or make it map the data one for one, right? So the fields where you need to go, you're putting it in whatever target table you're trying to get your data into. So a lot of times I try to always look at the data before I go. What do I mean? I try to go to my documentation. So I go to my downloads that we have. I try to open that. Uh, the the first page is always nothing but a legend that explains how the data should map. Then the subsequent pages are kind of like walking you through. That's the actual stories. So just as an FYI, so I'm just waiting for it to complete. So yeah, this is the two of them. Okay, so the first page is always going to be that page for viewing, so instructions to import your data. The second page is always the story. Just remember, so just as an FYI. So I have product, I have my team, I have epic description, short description, acceptance. Sometimes you could have even the testing one. So I could take a look at that one too as well. And I could bring those two as well. So same thing. So product, team, epic, short description, acceptance. So just I like to always preview the data so that I know what to expect. So I would do sheet 2, right? Sheet 2. The role, if the role is different, you would see that too. So now I would look for that data. The first one is the Gen AI one. All right, so I submit. Couple of minutes, you should have it ready. It brings the data, talks about that, it creates that story table, temporary table, right? Where it's going to do that, 5 stories that are there. So we could go ahead, look at the data if we wanted to, but no, I created transform map. So transform map is how to look at the table where we're trying to bring this data into, and then map it accordingly to where we need it. So these are stories, so it's user stories. So story map or story transform map, whichever. I mean, it's all you can story maps, So RM underscore story is the name of the table. So just make sure. So RM underscore story. I know that is it, but if not, just type story. It should get you there. So here you can auto map it, so you can actually tell the system to map the fields as it sees fit. The system goes through and does its work. So normally, another thing I also be cognizant of is sometimes on your Excel that you download, it might have an order field. The order field is number 1, number 2, number 3. It's just like numbers. So if you see order or number there, you want to delete that. So you edit that sheet to take away just that first column. You want to do that because the system will automatically generate its own numbers. You don't want to mess your number in. Just as an FYI, you can always go into there and edit that Excel that your data is coming. So here it's done through its thing. You can find this and then everything looks okay. But if for some reason field needed to go somewhere else, you can map it by looking at it yourself. Here you use the map assist to do it, to enable you do this. You put it where it should go. This is you doing that. You go and do that yourself, for example. All right, but everything looks okay with what we have. Nothing is missing. So I can go ahead and click on save. And then I would go ahead and automatically transform. That's all I would do, transform it. So make sure your transform map is there and transform. That's all. It takes a couple of minutes. It should be in there. So if I go to stories here, so under Agile, if I look at stories, I should see those stories, the Gen AI stories. They're all here listed. I can filter based off of those. I can. It should show me the 5 of them right there. All right. So that's just in a nutshell, just getting it in. You can do that. You could also assign this to a group. You can assign it to a project, for example. So this ones, as we have them, all you do is select everything, right? Assign that to your project. You can assign it to a release. You can assign it to a group. There's so many things you can use it to do, right? So that's it. That project, the demo one, you can do that. And that's all you do. Takes a couple of minutes. And then once you do that, right there, that project in itself has an agile face to it right there. If you go take a look, the stories are assigned, just as an FYI. That's all it is. It would go there, it will be assigned. You could also, automatically create an agile phase here too as well. So many ways that you can do that. Do we have questions? Do we have concerns? Do we have questions? Do we have concerns? Because that's all the demo, for that. But the tools are there. They are all, helpful to you. You're tracking your stories, you're importing stories, you're able to import the projects in themselves. You're able to, get your stakeholders in there, put your preferences for there. You're looking at your project tax. So much information. Remember, it's all information radiator. You're putting your notes there. Are you looking at the project scoring for the risk? You're looking at financials. You're looking at rate models. So quite a bit of them, they're all there. So it's all there. Whether you're looking at your primary goals, you're looking at setting whichever one it is. It's a lot of it's a lot to help you. It's a lot to help you to work on deliver on any project or that you have, so that way you can be well on your way to project success. But yeah, couple of minutes, the downloads will be available. You have any questions, let me know. Once again, thank you everyone for the opportunity to come share and then get to break down that project management application to its to give us more understanding of how we can use that. Thank you everyone. Have a good evening. Bye bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.